Today is June 1st, which means that it is the first day of Atlantic hurricane season. And the season for 2025 looks to be a really interesting but active one. So, we are going to be forecasting the 2025 hurricane season and tell you what you should expect. Now, the most important part to any hurricane season is the sea surface temperatures. So, this is the data that was just collected yesterday, the day before hurricane season, and this is the grid that we're looking at to start off with. This is the North Atlantic grid. So while this is an interesting one to look at, it only has areas like the main development region and the Caribbean where our actual tropical storms develop, and the rest of it is just the subtropical Atlantic. So people always look at this graph. I'm sure you've seen it before, but I don't feel like it really matters too much because most of the areas that this is looking at is far away from the United States or any tropical Atlantic coast. But that red line right there is us, and that yellow-orange line is 2024. And then the most hot Atlantic ever was in 2023, which is right over there. So as you can see, we're trending above average. The average are those black dotted lines, so we're above average. The third or fourth most hot season in the Atlantic. But I really don't want to look at this too much. I would rather go over here to the Gulf of Mexico. So this is where the true stuff matters that impacts us. Really, every hurricane that hits the United States goes through the Gulf of Mexico, or at least a large majority of them. So that's the sector that we're looking at, and as you can see, it is the second hottest currently that the Gulf of Mexico has ever been. So once again, that red line is us, and the orange one is 2024, which was the hottest Gulf of Mexico until we hit peak season. Then it was 2023. So 2023 was the hottest year ever recorded in the Atlantic, 2024 at second, and it's looking like right now 2025 is about the third hottest. But this has been a big spike recently. In the month of May, we have seen a huge spike in areas like the East Coast and the Gulf of Mexico in temperatures because we were trending pretty cool after all those snowstorms that went so far south that brought a lot of cold air. But now we have really started spiking up, and we're at the second hottest Gulf of Mexico. So that'll fuel a lot of the storms that actually hit the United States. And I mean, all storms matter, but these are the storms that impact us. And this is a really good place to look at as well. This is the MDR, or the main development region. So this is where these big storms that go off to hit the Caribbean, the East Coast, maybe even the West Coast of Florida, form from. These are the big time, like Category 5 hurricanes, but most of them do like to go off to sea since they start so far away. Now, as you can see, we are having an average MDR season, which we haven't seen in quite a long time, actually. So as you can see, 2024 and 2023 were way above average, but this is us right over here at the red line. We are just about on the average. So this really affects the fish storms that'll go out here, because as you can see right here, these are the temperatures. It's very warm over in the Caribbean side, but it's very cold over near Cape Verde side. So that's why we're trending average right now, because it's above average on the left and below average on the right. Now I'll explain more what this means later. These are our sea surface temperature anomalies. So this is how different they are from average right now. So the oranges and reds are warmer than normal, and the blues and the pinks are cooler than normal, and the whites are average. So you can see there's a big area over in the main development region right over here where it's cooler than normal. But then as we get closer to the United States, almost everything is warmer than normal. And most notably, this area right over here in the Bermuda Triangle. I'll talk about that more later as well. So let's compare this to last year. So this is last year. Big difference, right? Let me go back again. This year, last year. This year, last year. Everything was warmer last year. Last year was a crazy season as we were seeing it on June 1st. Everything was warmer than normal. We knew it was going to be a big season. But one thing that you do see that is cooler than normal is right over here in the Bermuda Triangle area. This year, warmer than normal. So I'll explain what that means later. But I do want to show you one more thing with this year's sea surface temperatures. So if we go back to May 1st and play this through, you can see the rapid warming that has happened in the Gulf Coast and the East Coast recently. It was below normal, now it's above normal. So we'll see if that trend continues. And then now let's go to the second most important thing in the Atlantic hurricane season. And that's the east-north-south oscillation. This is located around the equator. I'm sure you've heard it before, La Niña, El Niño. This affects the trade winds. So it's right over here. So as you can see right now, it's kind of in a neutral phase. You have areas that are warmer than normal, and you have areas that are cooler than normal in that area. So if it was all warmer than normal, then we would be in an El Nino, and that would cause more trade winds, more shear, and less major hurricanes. But if we're in a La Nina, that would mean less trade winds because there's less storms forming there, and that would mean more major hurricanes and less wind shear. Right now we're in a neutral phase, so you kind of get a mix of both. There's some storms, but there's not a lot. So there's some trade winds, some shear, but not a lot. If we play this little animation through, this is all of May. As you can see, the winds, they just kind of come off of the western South America coast. Sometimes they're warmer than normal, sometimes they're cooler than normal. Let's see what's going to happen as we progress through the season. So these are the probabilities. So right now, as you can see, we are in neutral. As that graph right there, it is very, very, very gray. But then as we progress through the middle of the season, which would be August, September, October, that's peak season. As you can see, we're likely to still be in a neutral phase, but the chance of a La Nina actually rises as we get through a later season. And of course, there's still a chance of El Nino. Sometimes this can surprise us, and a surprise El Nino could form. But we're likely to stay neutral all season, which means really neither will affect us. We'll have some storms, some trade winds, but not a lot. So really a modest amount of trade winds. Now here's something that steers hurricanes. This is the Bermuda High right over here. See this high pressure system? All the the bars in this model that are red or like orange, that's where it's high pressure. If it's like blue or pink, that's where it's low pressure. So we're looking at the high pressure because this steers the hurricane. So this is where we're at right now. So if you had a hurricane, you would kind of follow the isotherm bars and it would go off the sea. So this high pressure system is tucked north and east right now. So one thing that this is also doing is it also influences the currents that is flowing cold air right down into the main development region. So naturally, this high pressure system does start here in June, and it starts to slowly progress its way westward and southward. So then that allows the main development region to warm up. Usually, the main development region is very cold this time of year, but it warms up as we go through season. And the later you get in the season, the higher the chances that you get East Coast riding storms. So this is an ensemble. Let's just see how this high pressure system progresses in the next 20 so days. So if we watch this through, you can see it's slowly starting to broaden itself, which is very crucial if you want storms on the East Coast, and very slowly starting to go westward, but not really. I mean, it's still in the same vicinity, but you can see that it really starts to broaden itself. The more broad of a Bermuda High you can get, the longer that they will track westward, which is what you want if you want storms to hit the East Coast. I mean, you don't want that. But if it's not broad, like it's kind of that big, it'll tilt very fast up north. So the broader it is, the higher the chance that the East Coast gets hit. Now, this is something we can't really predict very well, so you do just have to watch it. I mean, you can predict it in like 20-day increments, but we just do have to watch this throughout the season. Seems like for early season, it'll stay tucked to the northeast, so it won't really be affecting our storms that are early season ones that normally form in the Gulf and the southeast. Now, this is the Euro's accumulated cyclone energy. So let's look over here in the North Atlantic region. The orange is the climate mean, which is 1, and the green is the forecast mean, which is 1.1. So this is predicting an average season in cyclone energy. So if we go back to May's forecast from 2024, there you go. It predicted 2, which is super hyperactive season. And that's sort of what we got. I mean, we got a lot of Category 5 hurricanes. Milton, Beryl, I think there's one more. And then, a lot that hit the United States. We had 5 hurricanes that hit the United States. So this definitely verified very well. And for this year, it's predicting a slightly above average season, which I agree with all the things that we've seen so far. You've seen that the ENSO phase is neutral, so it'll kind of be a mix between the two. The sea surface temperatures are kind of split between the Atlantic, warmer on the east, or warmer on the west side, cooler on the east side. And then also that Bermuda High is looking how it normally does. So let's look at some of the other forecasts, and then we'll get to my forecast. So this is the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season outlook from NOAA. So they're predicting 60% chance of above normal, 30% chance of near normal, 10% chance of below normal. Last season, I believe it was 80% chance or 90% chance of above normal, and that's what happened. So they're predicting 13 to 19 named storms, 6 to 10 hurricanes, and 3 to 5 major hurricanes. is Colorado State University's. They're predicting 17 named storms, 9 hurricanes, 4 major hurricanes, and that's really all that you have to look at on this. So now let's look at mine. So I predict about 17 tropical storms to form. The average is 14 to 15, so slightly above average. Hurricanes, 9. The average is 7, so slightly, if not above average. Major hurricanes, 4. We average 3, so slightly above average again. Category 5s, we average 0.3, so I just said 0 to 1. And I said we'll get about 1 Category 5 hurricane. Last year we had 2 or 3. One of them was a Category 5 hurricane, but it wasn't like officially rated that. I mean, you can look at it, it was Category 5. But, yeah, so we did have 3 last season, and I think in part of that was the MDR was super warm compared to how it normally is. It's average, so honestly, I could see us getting 0 Category 5 hurricanes. But I said 1 just because of how hot the Caribbean is. I mean, you had storms like Beryl last year when the MDR was cool, you know, it kind of just sustained itself as a Category 1 tropical storm. But then once it hit the, it just intensified rapidly into a Category 5. And then this was a metric I got 100% right last year. I was kind of surprised by that, but I'm just like the greatest forecaster ever. I'm so humble. Anyways, I predict 3 this year. Last year I predicted 5. We had 5. So this year I predict 3. The average is 2. So that is my 2025 hurricane forecast. If you have any questions or comments or want to share your thoughts, please let me know down below. But that is really all. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.